Hello, welcome back to one more session on grammar pitfalls to look out for. So we have dealt with an introduction on grammar, we have looked at the way questions are to be formed, we have looked at different types of verbs, mentioned briefly about adverbs, then looked a bit into prepositions, also mentioned or discussed phrasal verbs. Okay. Now, the scariest of them all, tenses. So I thought we'll do with tenses on this or in this session. So I've given a slide where a number of incorrect uses of tense is given. Like for example, once upon a time there has been a prince. Now this has been is actually a weakness for many of the speakers. They think it makes it more flamboyant when to use these has been, this perfect form of verbs. But actually there is no need for that. We can use a simple past tense and say once upon a time there was a prince. So I have joined the society in August. No, I joined the society in August. So this unnecessary or rather avoidable use of have form of verbs, that is a big problem with many of the speakers that I've come across. We didn't taught physics in the past. Oh, we didn't teach physics. Since did has already taken the past tense form, we don't have to follow the verb in the past tense form. That is one rule of forming the tense formation. When we use auxiliaries to take the tense forms, auxiliaries represent the tense, so then we retain the main verb in their original form, so the present tense form actually. So we didn't teach physics. We didn't taught is wrong, we didn't teach. And she not attempt the last question, we need an auxiliary there. She did not attempt the last question. And then what do you do last summer? Oh, too many do's there. So we change the tense form. One is the auxiliary, the other is the main verb, like we had already discussed. So what did you do? The auxiliary takes the tense form. So what did you do last summer? Because it's last summer, it is in the past, so we use the past tense form. Now I have worked there till 2014. Again, unavoidable use, unnecessary use of the perfect form. I worked there till 2014 and she has been born in 1998. She was born in 1998 is enough. So she was born in 1998. She drank a second cup of tea. Not really. She drank a second cup of tea. So there are many points when we don't have to bring in the perfect form. A simple past tense or simple present tense would suffice, would be enough. Now another example that I brought in is during the movie Sam stood up and then drops his popcorn. So there is a mix-up of tenses in the same sentence. Sometimes we do that of course, but not really in this context because the meaning is slightly muddled there. Now whatever tense we use, the ultimate aim of communicating is of course to pass on the correct meaning. So we need to be consistent in the tense form. Sometimes we do mix up tenses, but that depends on the meaning that we want to convey. So normally if we use the past tense form, we continue with the past tense form, some or the other form of past tense itself. So they were required filling out a long form before enrolling in the course. So they required to fill out a long form before enrolling in the course. So there actually you need an auxiliary, they were required. Okay. Then another one is I have never been a carrot cake fan. That was actually in the past tense. Okay, that is totally in the past. I have never been, meaning never in my life. So if you look at time as a continuum, there is some point of origin of time which we don't really know, which is in the infinity. So from that point onwards, we are talking about a unidirectional movement in time. So I have never been is somewhere in the past, but till now, okay, there is one particular point where this thing changed. So in the past, I have never been a huge carrot cake fan, but then I tasted Marjorie's carrot cake. So that was a present, okay, or that is the particular point of change in my taste. And then in the present, what happened is now it's my favorite dessert. So that is how we use tense to indicate a movement forward in time, which is actually unidirectional. Time actually moves in just one direction. So that is why we can talk only about three forms of tenses. So it's a continuous movement across time, which is actually like we said, unidirectional. So I was never a huge fan of Jack Sparrow. Okay, that was in the past, but that was still a moment in somewhere in my present when I watched Pirates of the Caribbean featuring Johnny Depp. So then I became, after watching Johnny Depp's performance as Jack Sparrow, now I am a fan of Jack Sparrow, and in future maybe if he continues doing that role again, I will probably remain, I will be a Jack Sparrow fan. Okay, so that is how we indicate our actions in terms of time with reference to time. Now, I've given a detailed slide on different forms of present perfect. Okay, so perfect form, present perfect, past perfect, and present perfect passive. So I have went somewhere. Again, like we said, you don't really have to use the past tense form or the perfect form. You can simply use I have gone or I went. Okay, so if we bring in perfect form, the verb actually changes. So we can't use the simple past tense form went, but we have to use the perfect form of the en form. Okay, so it is go, went, and gone. So if we bring in have, we have to bring gone. Otherwise, we just say I went. Okay, if we have to use a simple form, I went. That's enough. Otherwise, we say I have gone. Or if you want to say he did it. Okay, you can easily say he did it, but you want to emphasize it, and you have to say he has done it. Okay, so you can't say he has did it because there is a conflict of tense forms there. Has means perfect form, and you can't use simple form done there. Okay, so he has done it, so you can't really use the simple past tense form of did. He did it, that's fine, but if you bring in have there, he has, then the verb changes. Okay, he has done it. The same way, past perfect form, they had refused to do the job. Not quite correct. Because had has come. Remember the auxiliary verb have. So once have comes in to indicate the tense form, the verb actually changes to the perfect form. Okay, so they had refused to do the job. It has to go on to the past tense or the perfect form. Then present perfect passive is they have being, not really. Be takes the perfect form of en, adding en. So they have been given the admission. So I hope that's not confusing enough, but maybe I hope that has brought in a bit more clarity to how we use perfect form. Well, the thing is really, it's very simple. We bring in auxiliaries to indicate tense. So once the auxiliary takes the tense, the verb either retains its original form or changes according to the auxiliary form, the form that auxiliary takes. So if you say I did it, okay, I did do that. So did actually already takes the past tense. Okay, so the verb can retain its original form. I did eat it, I did drink it. So the tense is already indicated. Whereas in perfect form, when you are trying to use perfect form, we need two different forms. Okay, so the tense will be taken by the auxiliary and the verb will take the perfect form en. Okay, that is how it is formed. So it might be slightly confusing, but it's not really that confusing once you practice it. Okay, I went, I had gone, I had been going. So depending on the auxiliary that we use to indicate tense, the verb actually changes its form. Now, verb tense consistency is something that you must adhere to when you are talking, especially when you are narrating something. Like for example, if you are using past tense, keep using the past tense. Okay, so I went out one day, it was raining, I saw a little kitten in the rain. So continuously use past tense. The kitten mewed, I loved the kitten, I took it home. So once you are narrating things, if you have chosen the past tense form, you stick on to the past tense form, or else you use the present tense form. Then you use the present tense form continuously. Except maybe in conversations, we may have to switch tenses. Okay, so I walked out, or sorry, I walk in the rain. I am walking in the rain. You switch to present continuous. I am walking in the rain, and I see a kitten mewing slowly, all wet, near under a tree. So you tend to use, you do not mix and match the tense, or you do not shuffle the tense too much in a narration. So 99% of the time you are required to use simple present tense. Okay, when you are writing an essay, for example, or a story, for example, preferably you are supposed to use simple present tense, but using simple past is also equally fine. But then stick to one tense. Consistently ഒരു ടെൻസ് തന്നെ നമ്മൾ യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം. English tense forms are really helpful, really simple. We just think that they are very complicated. We have already said that time is unidirectional. Okay, so time is moving in one direction from one point somewhere in the infinity. We do not know when it started, we do not know where it is going to end. So we are at one particular point in time. So obviously that is the present. And naturally, we can talk only about two other forms of things happening. We can talk about the past or we can talk about the future. So that is why we have three tense forms in English. Easy enough. And then these three are equally divided into four different forms. So first is of course the simple form. We have simple past, simple present and simple future. Okay, I went, I go, I will go. Okay, and then the present perfect, sorry, the continuous form. Okay, so the continuous form shows an action that is happening, that is not complete. So if I say I was going, I'm not going now, but somewhere in the past where I'm talking about, where the time frame at 6 o'clock yesterday, I was going. Okay, so that is the present past continuous. In the present continuous, I am talking. Okay, and in the future, I will be sleeping. Okay, I'll be tired, so I will be sleeping. So same, it's about the time reference that we want to convey, and depending on the time reference we use the particular tense form, that's all. So simple form is there, meaning some action was done, and then the continuous form of the action is there, meaning some action that was incomplete. Maybe it was in the past, maybe it is in the present, maybe it is in the future. Okay, so that is how we choose which tense to use. So always remember that the tense does not choose you, but rather you choose the tense depending on the meaning you wish to convey. And perfect form, again, I went is okay, but I had gone, meaning there is a slight expansion of time frame when you say I had gone. Okay, I had gone there when something else happened. Okay, so it's not in the present, it's in the past. That going part has already happened in the past, but it's not as quick a time frame or as short a time frame as I went. I went is like I went. I'm not saying that whether I went in the morning or evening or night. I went, that's it. I'm not specifying any time frame. But then I had gone means there was a specific time frame, a slightly bigger time frame than I went. So perfect form always expands the time frame of the simple form. I went, I had gone. I go, I am, I have gone. Okay, and in the future I will go, I will have gone. Now remember, have actually forces the verb to adopt the perfect form. Okay, will has already indicated the future tense, and then the problem with the auxiliaries, the modal auxiliaries, is that once they come into picture, there is no change in the verb. Okay, the verbs always retain their original form, but will and have will mean that have has come in, therefore the verb has to change into perfect. Otherwise, I will go. Okay, I will be going. So be actually retains the original form because of the modal auxiliary will. So that is a peculiarity of the modal auxiliaries. Once they come in, the verbs immediately following them will retain their original form. That is why I will be going. The change happens to the verb. I will have gone. Have retains its original form, and the change actually happens to go, the main verb. So that's one peculiarity of modals when we particularly use it to indicate tense. And then we have, so that is simple form, simple past, simple present and simple future. Then continuous form, okay, some action that is not complete. Simple continuous, past continuous, present continuous and future continuous. And then we have the perfect form, which have a slightly elaborate, slightly larger time frame than the simple form. Okay, so we have past perfect, we have present perfect and we have future perfect, and then a slightly longer time frame, okay, than all these. I had been doing it. Okay, so I had been writing poems in my teens. It's not happening now. I'm not writing poems now, but in my teens, way back, I was writing poems. I had been writing poems. I hope the difference in time frame is clear. Similarly in the present tense. Okay, so perfect continuous. We bring in perfect. We use have or has or had to bring in perfect, and then ing form. Okay, so I have been reading. For this presentation, I have been reading. So I'm still reading. Okay, I haven't finished reading. I've started in way back in the past, maybe for past 2 days. So that started in the past, that is still going on, and it will go on for some time more. Okay, and in the future, we don't really need that kind of a tense form. Actually, in the future, like for example, 20 years from now, I will have been doing a presentation on grammar. Okay, so that is how it sounds. We don't really use it, but according to grammar, that form is there. Okay, so those are the tense forms in English. They are actually very simple, and not at all complicated like some other. There are many languages with pretty complicated tense systems, but English has it very easy actually. It's one of the simplest forms of tense that you find in English grammar. So we have 3 tenses, all 3 divided into equal 4 types of tenses. That's it. So that's it with English tenses. As I said, it's very simple. Okay, 3 into 4, 12 forms. That's it. And many of them we don't really need, we don't really use in real life also. Okay, who is going to say about 20 years from now, I will have been, nobody is going to say that. I will have been getting married, or I will have been building a house. Okay, but most of the other forms we might need in real life, but primarily it is the simple forms that we most commonly use in real life communication. So along with tenses, since it might appear a bit tough, I thought we will bring in some fun part also. There is a thing called idioms in language. Every language has idioms. Idioms are more like sayings, expressions, or phrasal verbs. Like I said, they are very interesting. They stand for something else. So just like that, we have similes and idioms, which actually make the language very colorful and very attractive and very, very energetic, so to say. Okay. So English idioms like break a leg, for example. So exactly like phrasal verbs. Okay. The independent words do not stand on their own. They come together, they stand as a unit and mean something else altogether. Now, break a leg doesn't mean that you have to break somebody's leg. If I tell you, go break a leg, I'm not asking you to break somebody's leg, but it means that all the best, let's rock it. That's what break a leg means. So English idioms are really, really wonderful. They are very creative, so to say. And another example is to kick the bucket. To kick the bucket might sound very interesting, but actually it means somebody died. Oops. Okay. Now, shape up or ship out is another idiom, very common idiom, and you might be familiar with spill the beans. Okay, spill the beans is like somebody had said something to you in all confidence. Okay, and then you tell that to somebody else, so you have revealed a secret. That is what is meant by spill the beans. So, to raining cats and dogs, you might have heard an expression, or somebody might have told you, oh, it's June, it's monsoon, it's raining cats and dogs. And people might look out, where are the cats and dogs? Are they coming down from the sky? No, not really. It just means that it's raining very heavily. Okay, it's heavy rain. That's what it's meant by when we say it's raining cats and dogs. And then there is an expression called top dog, which you might have heard, you might be familiar with. Like people will ask, who is the top dog in your class? Okay, so that just means the leader. Top dog just means the leader of the group. To smell a rat, obviously must be clear to you. You must be very familiar with that. When suddenly you decide to clean your room, your mother will smell a rat. Your mother will feel suspicious that there is something is not right. All is not well in Denmark. It smells a rat. Okay. And then to chicken out. Chicken out means you don't really want to do something. You are really scared of doing something. And chicken is actually that's a very derogatory term that is used to sort of refer to a person who is afraid of things. So instead of calling a coward, people tend to call a person chicken. That's a slang term. It's an informal term. So chicken out means you back out of something because you are scared to do it. You don't want to do it. And then eat like a horse. Oh, that you must have heard. Somebody is so into food. They eat like a horse, meaning they eat a lot. They can't stop eating. And to break someone's heart. Oh yes, definitely. You know that one. I don't have to explain. You hurt someone very badly. You break someone's heart. And burn the midnight oil. Well, ideally students are supposed to do that. Students are supposed to burn the midnight oil, meaning they have to work really hard. They study well into nighttime and all. Okay. And then there are some food idioms that I've selected for you. One is souped up. Souped up meaning you have become more stylish and more powerful. So what is with the new hairstyle? That has really souped you up, meaning that makes you look more powerful and more stylish. And then something sells like hot cakes. Yeah, Harry Potter books, for example, they sold like hot cakes. They are still being sold like hot cakes, meaning a lot of people are buying them. So that it's hugely popular and it's in huge demand. So that is what is meant by selling like hot cakes. And we've already discussed spill the beans. And then take something with a pinch of or a grain of salt means when somebody is saying something, there are people who tend to exaggerate. So then you will say, yeah, that might be true, but if it is Reshma who tells you, then you better take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, meaning you better don't rely on it 100%. And then use your noodle. Oh, that's my favorite. Use your noodle, meaning you don't eat your noodle or you don't use your noodle. You are asked to use your brain. It's not that complicated. Come on, use your noodles, meaning don't go in search for Maggie or anything. It just means that you have to use your brain. Then break a leg. Okay, just means good luck. So here is wishing you good luck with learning language. So that slide actually explains the meaning, then examples of where it can be used. Break a leg. You all look great in your costumes. Break a leg. Okay, and then synonyms for for break a leg are also given in that slide. Good luck. I hope it all goes well. All the best. Best wishes. All these are said when we end a session, hoping that you will have a wonderful time learning English, especially English grammar. So break a leg.